Welcome back to the Detailing Bay. Today we're looking at trim products, and there's a few different angles on trim, isn't there?
Yeah.
You've got like your quick fixes that don't have much durability.
Your classic gel-based ones.
Exactly. You've got some with dyes in, which I think's a bit of a cheat, but some people like that.
It works.
Yeah. And then you've got your proper products that actually fix it. You've got durability.
Yeah.
So shall we delve in and take a look at the four we've picked? As you can, well, we've gone from little to large this, so we'll start this end, shall we?
Yes.
We've got a bit of an old school classic,
yeah.
You know, your chemical guys. You'll see an instant result.
Yeah, it gets the job done. It's super easy. It's not going to last forever. It's not really going to cause any major issues if applied correctly. So it's the most approachable, if you like.
It's going to dry quite well as well, isn't it? It's not going to be sticky and
it's very traditional, quite wet looking, as it. You can imagine, like others like the Maguires as well. It's especially on tyres. It gives definitely like a wet look to it as well.
Are we talking trim products that are just going to dress them up, or are we talking about faded trim? Because would this handle something where trim's gone beyond its best?
Yeah, stuff like that works really well on faded trim.
Okay. You know what I mean?
Albeit where it's gone temporary. Yes.
Where it's gone white almost.
Yeah. Well, there's a point of no return, but there is products for that.
Yeah. Next, GTechniq.
GTechniq. So from new trim to slightly faded trim, absolutely brilliant product. It will last the longest. It'll look the most natural, but there is a point. If it's gone too far, it just doesn't take.
Right.
So you know, plastics that are a couple of years old or brand new, fantastic product, an absolute no-brainer. Really.
It's fair to say there's a lot more technology in this than there are the other products.
Absolutely, working in a totally different manner.
Yeah. Next one, bit of the word you like to use, a bit of a curveball.
Curveball. So imagine that, but in a far more concentrated form.
Yeah.
Very more liquid, so it does penetrate deeper. But quite an odd application for a lot of people. You apply that first, then wash the vehicle, because you will get runoff from it.
Yeah, it's a bit back to front that.
It is, but
I can't get the logic that if you've got mud and dirt and bugs on your trim, you go straight on with that and then wash it.
Yeah.
But if that's what they say to do, and that's
the way, and it does seem to work best.
Yeah, I've used this. I'm not a massive fan. Instantly it looks great, and I can see why people do love it, because you pick it up, you pop it on a sponge, in one application it looks like it's done a really good job, but from my experience it didn't last great.
I think you've got to layer it almost as well. And
then lastly, out of our little collection, Solution Finish.
Yes, with a little trick up its sleeve that has a dye in it.
It's a dye based one. I think that's cheating, if I'm honest, but I do respect it's one of the best selling, and that people probably like that fact that as they're putting it on they feel like they're almost repainting the bumper.
Yeah, it is, and there are other ones out there not as easy to work with. This it is very, very runny, and you need to work it in and layer it slowly, but you do get a brilliant finish. But when you've committed, you've got to do the entirety of it, because it does substantially change the surface. I have found on certain plastics, it is a little bit hit and miss in terms of some plastics. It does take better than others.
This is a 1 ounce bottle. It's obviously tiny.
It goes a long way.
But it goes a long way. But you can get a 12 ounce bottle as well if you're a detailer and you're doing cars day in day out. But yeah, this should get around your whole vehicle, shouldn't it? So first to test the Chemical Guys one, and the approach is going to be similar to each one. We're going to use a foam pad and then buff it with a microfiber, get any residue off. Car's already been washed and dried. We've not done anything technical like
so that's why we'll
strip any residues or anything off.
No.
So we're probably not going to use the C4 at this point, are we?
No, not at all. The C4 would take a lot more of a deeper clean. The benefits of the 3 will demonstrate are there is bits of wax residues on there, sealants and whatnot. The trim's not looking great, and how this very quickly can, to a degree, blanket it and make it look fresh again. Yeah,
so the first one of them, the 3 that we're going to demo, is the Chemical Guys. Do you want to grab an applicator and we'll get some on there? We'll split the back bumper up into 3 sections.
Yeah,
so then we can do a bit of a fair test, can't we?
See how they fare up.
Yeah. Right. How much do we need, do you think?
Yeah, that should be enough just to do a little area.
We'll sort of do up to there then.
Yep.
It's your classic, very sticky at first,
oily,
thick. You feel like...
That's why it's important once you've applied it, even on tyres, to reduce sling, is just to give it a little wipe over with a microfiber.
Yeah.
But you know, that has just taken you, what, seconds, and that, nostalgic, just the classic dress finish.
Just rewarding, that kind of job, and it is basically just a thick silicone. It's like dimethicone.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's done the job. It'll probably bead up as well because it's a silicone, and it's the right consistency. It's
not trying to run off either. So yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to walk away now. I've always been a fan of it, but
no residue on your cloth.
Job's good. A couple of minutes, that'll be nice and dry, and get it wet.
Yeah. Should we go for the black wow?
Yeah.
Right. Well, to be fair, we'll use a separate applicator for each one, so we're not cross-contaminating.
We'll grab one.
So next up, the black wow.
Yes.
I know it said on the instructions, put it on a dirty car first.
Then wash off.
But we have washed it. It'd be rude not to try it. We'll just make sure we go a bit extra.
Well, we accept that risk. I mean, I won't be too worried about this area because any sort of runs, as long as we don't go too heavy on the application, probably not going to cause too much of an issue. It's when you're doing like panel trims and whatnot that if it runs down, so it should be fine.
A lot runnier.
Yeah.
I'll pass you that. And I think that is why it's still popular, even though it isn't one of my favourites. It's restored it really quickly. There was an ugly grey faded area, and it is more concentrated, and it has a little bit more of a sheen on it as well. I'd say there's a bit more solvent in it because it's lifted some extra grounding muck off, whereas that one, the pad was still clean, so I think you're just putting silicone on. Yeah, you are. This one, so straightforward. It definitely has some kind of solvent in it. But yeah, let's give it a wipe down. I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but I can see almost like mottling there. Yeah, I can pick that up a little bit. Like, I think a metre back, it's going to look absolutely perfect, but if you're going to get really close and judge at this stage, for me, where I'm, the new look still seems to have dressed it better. Yeah. But I think that is down to the thickness as well. And you could potentially layer this, but does it work out cost effective? I guess that would end up in the durability test. Yeah, I know they're both clear, but it's almost, I'd describe that as being a bit more opaque than that one. So you can still see through, although it's gone blacker, when you get close, you can see the imperfections that are there still. Yeah. So yeah, not one of my faves, I'm afraid, that one. Well, let's try the dye again. We've got still continuing from there, got a little bit of transfer and whatnot, so this should be a really good test. It's like a paint, and as you can hear, there's a ball bearing in it. Yeah, give it a good 60-second shake. We've already shook it, so let's get it on. So a small amount, and you circular motions work it in. Yeah, I would advise wearing gloves, but it's a bit too late for that because I've put it on already. So I just work a smaller area in circular motions, really working it in. And the key with this one is layers. I mean, first impressions are it's doing what it says on the tin. I don't know if it's quite as concentrated as this side. It's not, it's very thin, and you can tell with trim you can always tell a thinner substance when it's going on because of how gradual the change is. But like we said, you can let this dry, you can layer it, it is going to go further and further. There we go. It's not, you can clearly see this mottle inside here, can't you, on the previous one, and we haven't got that on this. So the finish is pretty good. If you look how natural a finish that is and how factory it is, if it was just uniformly faded trim, that is going to give you, for me anyway, the most factory-like finish. Yeah, I'm with you. So if it has just all faded evenly, yeah, if it's just not been looked after. I mean, plastics unfortunately doesn't always go nice and evenly, but it's a good example of there is an approach for like a factory finish, but the trim has just got to be at that right point. Yeah. So we're saying if you've got trim which is a bit faded in places, a bit patchy, from these three, I would say the Chemical guys kind of has it nailed, doesn't it? It does. Old school and still. Well, we're giving them a bit of a test all the way around. We've picked a few different like rubber seals and different plastics. Some are more porous than others, and I found that they work slightly different depending on that. So this one, which I didn't like at first,
at the back, was really all right on the front.
That scuttle panel at the front, which it did a pretty good job pretty quickly. I don't know how long it'll last. It's probably going to wash off or fade based on how I've used it before. But yeah, you can see why some people probably buy these things and then go, yeah, that's worked wonders, because right now it looks great.
On there, yeah, because the other side was already dressed, the 50-50, now it's made this side look better.
So if we're being fair, there's probably a place for them all. It's a case of trying,
see what works for your plastics.
And if you wanted something that's really durable, then you're going to need the next step up, which is your more performance products like the GTechniq that we showed you at the beginning.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks very much for watching. I hope you found that of interest. If you've tried any of these three, why don't you comment below, let us know which one's your favourite. We'll put links in the descriptions. And as always, thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.